Are we getting enough food? Everyone is different. Everyone has their own specific calorie need based on them, based on factors like age, based on environment, based on their own things going on in life, stress, all that kind of thing applies, and that's what makes you different from me and what changes my calorie need to yours. And that's what it is. So you do have to think about that. You find out as you transition, and with a plant-based diet, depending on what you eat, if say you're eating like a lot of salads, and depending on what's in those salads, like if it's mostly like smoothies, fruit salads, and just salad bowls, then in around maybe hour and a half, you find that you get a little bit hungry. So bring snacks in between. It depends on also that when you're plant-based. Of course, there's many filling foods and recipes that we have that are still super healthy and delicious. We'll get into that in future videos. B12 is super important. And my family and I became more aware of it later when my sister and I changed our diets. But we have been aware of it for a while, and we've tried different kinds, from B12 fortified nutritional yeast to supplements, and those are nothing compared to, at least it depends on what supplements you guys are using. But all that stuff, we are now currently getting our B12 from raw honey. B12 is super important, and you feel the difference, especially when you're usually under a lot of stress. You need a lot of B12, but it's not just B12, it's also glucose and zinc that people don't really talk about. So those are things that you should be aware of and be aware that you are getting when you're a plant-based person. So I hope that addresses the difference for people who think that we're super healthy. You might not be that healthy if you're not getting those zinc, B12, of course, and vitamins like vitamin C and glucose. Did I mention that? Yeah, I think I did. Those are super important. And then we get to, is it healthy? So let's get into health. It all depends on what you guys are eating. What are you eating? What makes up the majority of your meal? What fills you up the most? Is it plants or is it the substitutes? Which, may I remind you, those are processed foods. And most of them, especially as you go cheaper, they're like super processed and not organic and wholesome. Even the more healthier processed foods, like processed food is processed food. It's still junk food even, because we have our junk foods. If you're eating mostly the substitutes, as at some point we were, because you check out the communities, right? Like you guys go to our memes, and we laugh about this too. It's like what people think I eat, what my parents think I eat, or what my friends think I eat versus what I actually eat, which is like just some McDonald's. At some point I was one of those people eating stuff just because it's vegan, reading the back of it, like, oh, eating like popsicles, instant porridges, rusks, just because the stuff was vegan. And it was not a good time, it was not a good place, it was not in all ways, especially prolonged. It can easily be unhealthy. Something might have like one of the vegan logos, or even a plant-based logo. It might have that, one of the plant-based logos. That doesn't mean that it is good for you. It doesn't mean it's good for the environment. It doesn't mean that it's good for Earth itself, for anything or anyone. People want you to assume, especially when you see that green on there, that it's a good thing, that it's a healthy thing, and it's just not. It's just plain crap. Beware of that. Another thing with health is that stuff like protein and how animal products were, like, it was known and it was something that was yelled, was like the most shouted thing, like, actually animal products aren't that good for you or even the environment, and you don't need that much protein in your diet. That was a main thing being shouted, to suddenly it changing, it being plant-based people can have a high protein diet, and here's how to get more protein when you're plant-based. It just changed. That's what happened. It changed. I've been plant-based for 8 years, you guys, and in those 8 years I've changed from this kind of plant-based to that, and in my journeys I've been a full vegan, like full plain vegan, not a dietary vegan, a full one. Yeah, I will be sharing with you guys. I was even raw vegan at some point. I was a vegetarian. I have been. Isn't it expensive? Marai dur. Yo, I'm sure you have to do that. So people also assume that a plant-based diet is super expensive and that like we're eating the most organic foods, you know, which we all know that most organic foods can be more expensive, and the less expensive are also the less organic. We all know what it's like living in Cyril's economy. At some point you get 4 avocados for 74 bucks. Yes, it can be tough. Stuff can be so expensive. Stuff is very expensive in this country and it's crazy, you know. So is a plant-based diet expensive? It all depends on this. I think everything, like any diet and any lifestyle, can be expensive if you choose to make it so. You know, if you choose to make it, you can choose to buy the most expensive brands for everything. You know, there's choices. Yeah, the first thing when we went plant-based that we found out was how affordable a plant-based diet actually is. Especially another favorite thing about living in this country and in our continent really is how like you have our street vendors selling you selling you organic fresh foods, like a whole cabbage head for 7 or even 5 bucks, you guys, like 5 rands. You can find a lot of, that's what my family even does. Like if you just look at like the quality of it and you get something good and tasty for a good price. As well as almost, I think every province has its own fruit market, fruits and veg market. They're plant-based. They are a plant-based paradise. It's just great. You see big trucks with these store brand logos coming in to buy fruits. They stock from there. And when you buy there, you get a big box of fruits or veggies, herbs at a good price, and like that's great. And also, I really recommend that you plant your own foods, even if you have a small yard or you live in an apartment. I think it's even trending. It's such a great thing to replant something, plant the seeds. Like you can have a small, like you can't see this here, but a potted plant that can give you fruits no matter how small. Even we grow our own onions and garlic store-bought. You don't even need to buy seeds, like you just replant it. You see how much plants don't need a lot, and how even though it's a piece of food, it's still like living. It can still produce something else, you know. That's something I also really like about plants, or about this. It's very full of life and abundant actually. You see how quick they grow. They just need like water, not even sunlight sometimes. People are growing microgreens and micro herbs in their houses, most people in apartments, so you can just really do that. Even a small garden at your balcony, indoors, like potatoes, everything, it grows. You see, if you leave it, that it'll start to grow. I really recommend that. And you know exactly what it is you're eating. You know that it's your own produce. And then we get to the good stuff. Restaurants, parties, travels, and social gatherings. All of it. Rice, all of it. So what do we eat when we eat out? What do we eat? Guys, like plant-based in this country, yeah, South Africa, it is a thing, you know, it's alive, and like it has been growing, and I'm really happy to see the heights it's reached to get into this. Restaurants accommodate for us. Restaurants saw that they were losing, you guys, when my family and I were going plant-based. We just kind of stopped eating out because a lot of people weren't accommodating us or catering for us, and if they did, the food was bad. Like I've seen the food evolve from really bad food to where it's at now. And it went to, you could get at least one meal at a restaurant, like in unexpected places you could get at least one meal, but now there's more meals in so many restaurants, and it's in the whole country. From where I've traveled, in the least expected places, you guys. Now, like, sometimes you just have this like, I'm not sure about this place. The thing is, they don't even like advertise themselves so much as we offer plant-based. You have to like ask. You actually have to ask, and that's how you'll find out if certain restaurants cater for us. And the food, it is really good too, because we stopped eating out. The food was so bad. Horrible pizzas, you guys, to now where I can take my friends, like pro meat eaters, to a plant-based restaurant. It's grown so much to now we have standalone. Now we have standalone plant-based restaurants and standalone plant-based bakeries. It is a lot. It's very exciting, and I totally recommend that you guys try them out. I can now take my friends to a plant-based restaurant and it'd be good. Like, it'd be a good experience, and with like, oh, I can do this, wow. Or some of them are like, wow, your guys' food is really good. I think I'm definitely gonna go plant-based after this. It doesn't even just stop there. With substitutes, products, and restaurants, whether them just being plant-based, full plant-based, or just, accommodating us. They have plant-based and like plant-based minus allergens, you guys. Plant-based nut-free, plant-based gluten-free, and it's still good even with just sometimes little ingredients. Some products, they're so good. So check them out, and I might show you guys my favorites too. Okay, we know that we're cutting that out. So yes, it's a thing. And in events like social events, parties, rides, like work events, school, anything, just those kinds of events, functions, you tell the people that invite you that, oh hey, my family or friends and I are plant-based, and you tell them the kind of plant-based that you are, and they're like, okay, and then they accommodate for you. You have to talk. That's why things have changed. They saw, for example, restaurants that they were losing. You have to talk. It's something that kind of just comes up, like either people even notice that they're like, I've never really seen you eating meat. Usually it would have to be like in a funeral kind of event, or like a wedding, for let me talk into that. So in weddings, what we do is we just eat anything that isn't animal products. We see what we can minus, anything that we can minus. Then that's when people notice that But in our usual context, in just us going to a restaurant or lunch at school, they might not even notice because our food's that good. We tell them, they're like shook that we're plant-based the whole time. For years they've known us. People don't notice at all that we didn't eat animal products the whole time, because our families see that we're serious, and they say that they'll accommodate for us, or if we're going there, then we'll bring our own food and like sort of groceries, and everything is fine still. In Bryce, other than just our substitute meats that are strong enough to be fried, we have cool things to have and bring in Bryce, from like roasting veggies. Guys, I will show you. For travels, as I said, this is a national thing. For real, I've been shook in places that I was like, they definitely don't have anything plant-based here, but no, and they have more than one option. So, and the thing is, people tend to freak out when like they invite us sometimes. Some people actually are being pretty chill, but especially it depends on the person. But they're like, please come, you guys don't eat this, right? Okay, we don't eat this. And we get there, and it's mostly just dairy because people did not know what to prepare. They're like, oh my god, especially for my sister and I, the dietary vegans, they're like, oh my god, no meat, no eggs, no dairy, what do we cook them? I say, by the way, to those people, look online. You get really good ideas there. Or I think just keep it simple. But other than that, I'm a very flexible person when it comes to that kind of thing. I think the thought and caring and really trying to accommodate us, I think it's really nice and really sweet that it would be pretty rude also to just be like, nah, I don't eat that, you know? Even if like I'm not that kind of person. I've grown to be like that. It does happen a lot, by the way, for people who might be transitioning. Just bear in mind, people freak out and end up bringing you things like that. And also, it's just the Bantu way. Like, you don't enter a black person's house and they not offer you anything. So I think that's all. As for transformations, I'd just like to say that for anyone who is interested in a plant-based diet or lifestyle, I say kind of ditch the stereotypes. People have a lot of expectations and stereotype of plant-based people so much. Like, I think that they have ego, even like, you know, we're trying to make ourselves better because like, oh, I don't eat meat and it's to be super healthy and be thin and skinny forever or whatever. Or they're like, oh, that's why I like this, because you're plant-based. Oh, you're plant-based because you want to keep that fit, you know, like I say do teach those. Yes, there are transformations, and I think that some assumptions from people are true, but they're true now. Like, people expect like a month being on a plant-based diet, oh, suddenly I'm gonna be this majestic, all my problems gonna go away. Like, it's true, problems do go away, but again, it depends on what you're eating and it depends on you as a person. Transformations take different times, like they can take more time from person to person. So yeah, I don't even know, man, but I just don't want people to have these expectations and disappointments. Even like, yeah, you know, it does, again, patience and persistency and consistency also are things to keep in mind. Anyway, I think that's all for this video on being plant-based in South Africa. I hope it helps for anyone out there who was wondering what it is like to be plant-based in this country. I will definitely be getting into all of these topics deeper, yes, in depth in my future videos. If there were any questions that you have on this video, on this topic that you would like me to answer in my next videos, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below and to add on to the conversation. If you have requests for future videos, let me know about them. Thank you for watching.